Thanks for joining me again for another video. In this one we're going to be taking a look at the budget-friendly sleeping pad from Naturehike. So the generous guys at gearbest.com have kindly sent me the Naturehike ultralight sleeping pad. They've asked me to put it through its paces and to tell you guys what I think of it. I'll start by reading a few of the specs on the outside of the stuff sack. It's the ultralight sleeping pad. It's 3 centimeters thick and weighs 375 grams. So 193 centimeters long by 60 centimeters wide. The pad does come supplied with a small puncture repair kit. Should the worst happen and you get a puncture in the middle of the night. I'll get it inflated, then we'll go through some of the specifications. As you probably guessed, inflation of the pad is really easy. Just open up the cap and just blow into the valve. It is a non-return valve, so any air that you put in will stay in there until you press the valve to release it. It takes about 8 full breaths to blow the pad up. Just blow in here. If you want to save your breath a little bit, you can use one of these schnozzle bags. It doesn't fit perfectly, but it does the job. Put a bit of air into the bag, hold it over the valve, and then push down. Two bags of air pumped in through the schnozzle, and the pad is fully inflated. You can see the non-return valve in action there. Just press it to release the air. Obviously before you go to sleep on the pad, just make sure that the cap's put on and it's firmly seated. Here it is laid out in all of its glory. One thing I've noticed is when you inflate it fully, it does curl up a little bit at the edges, as you can see, but it doesn't affect the performance of the pad at all, and it flattens out when you sleep on it. It's got an egg box crate finish which supports your body really well, although the thickness is only 3 centimeters, which is not a lot, and it means it's not quite as comfortable as some of the more expensive thicker pads on the market. So I suppose you want to see me lay it on it. It is a comfortable pad. When you lay it on your back, there is no bottoming out at all. But sometimes when you lay it on your side, if you're on really hard ground, you can feel your hips just about touching the floor. There's a Naturehike logo down the side. All the welded seams are really good quality, as well as the valve, so there's no issues with air leakage. And in the 6 nights that I've slept on it, there hasn't been any loss of pressure at all. This mummy shape doesn't have the largest cut of a sleeping pad. Someone with a bigger frame might find this pad a little bit small. So the pad is made from a 20 denier nylon, and the inner material is a TPU compound which doesn't really offer much insulation. This pad is not made for all season use, however you can use it in the winter months in conjunction with something like this. This solution offers you the best of both worlds for not a lot of money, so you've got the warmth supplied by the close-cell mat and the comfort of the inflatable pad. Another possible solution to give you extra insulation in the winter months would be to use something like this. This is the solution that I used in my previous video on Bamford Edge, which I'll link up here or here. This combination kept me warm to about 3 degrees Celsius, and there was actually frost on the tent, which you can see in the video that I've linked. This particular pad is relatively quiet compared to some of the inflatable pads that I've used. So when you're moving around, it does make a small amount of noise, but nothing compared to some of them on the market, and that includes some of the more expensive ones. I suppose you want to see how quickly the pad deflates and how easy it is to put away. Deflating the pad is really simple. just unclip the cup and push in the valve. What I do is I push the valve back so it keeps it open, and then I can push out all of the air. Start by tightly rolling it up. The tighter you roll it, the more air you get out. Squash out as much air as possible, and then I make sure that the valve is back in its correct position. You can see the creases in the pad where it's been folded, but it's just a case of folding it into thirds. Now you can try rolling it like this, but I found that a nightmare and it doesn't get all of the air out. Much easier to fold it over and just roll it up. I'll close the cap and pop it back into its stuff sack. So I suppose what you really want to know, is it worth buying? Overall I think it's a pretty good sleeping bag. It is much cheaper than a lot of the high-end pads, however it doesn't offer you the insulation that those pads do. Also, it's not as thick as some of the pads on the market. That said, it is much more comfortable than lying on a closed cell mat. And if it is used with a closed cell mat, you can use it in colder temperatures as well. As the pad on its own, it doesn't offer much insulation. However, for definitely summer use, I personally wouldn't use something like this on its own at anything below 8 degrees. It packs down small, it's lightweight at only 375 grams. The valves and the welded seams are of good quality, and for the half dozen times that I've slept on this, I've had no issues with loss of air. If you are a side sleeper or you're pitching up on uneven or rocky ground, you may feel some bumps through this pad as it's only 3 centimetres thick. So finally, if you're new to wild camping and you're not going to be out for all seasons of the year, then I think this pad would be a good start. I think this pad would make a good ideal starter pad for somebody who's just coming into camping. But if you're a seasoned pro and you want to go out camping in all conditions, you're going to need something with more insulation than this. Don't just take my word for it. There's a lot of 5-star reviews of this product on places like Amazon. I definitely recommend you check it out if you're looking for something low cost, budget friendly, and is more comfortable than a closed cell mat. I have left a link in the description below to gearbest.com where you can pick one of these up if you're interested in buying one. So that's it for this video. If you found it useful, give it a thumbs up. Thanks again to gearbest.com for sending me the sleeping pad to try. And I'll see you guys in another video. Thanks again for watching. Bye for now.